Sansad Television, Samvad. And in today's conversation, joining me is a very special guest, Union Law and Justice Minister, Mr. Kiren Rijiju. So, welcome to Sansad TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So, let's begin talking about the most crucial issue, the pendency of cases in India. There are 21 judges per million people. The pendency has crossed 4.7 crore cases.
Whether you're a Supreme Court judge or lower courts, each judge is disposing of 40 to 50 cases every day. Nowhere in the world a judge has to handle so many cases in one single day. Despite that, the numbers of new cases coming up is double in numbers. So the challenges is very, very tough for all of us, but we can't just ignore the reality, we can't run away. Now there are various means to tackle the pendency at various levels. Government intervention is important in terms of providing the support system and to also ensure that more judges are appointed. But that is just a small fraction of the issue. The real issue is how to handle those cases and how to dispose of the cases. There are agencies, there are evidences, there are procedures, stakeholders, the witnesses, the victims, various issues are there. So it takes long time to handle a case in India. These can be tackled by lots of interventions, especially technology intervention, as well as some kind of coordination amongst all stakeholders. The pendency of cases in Supreme Court and High Courts are just fraction of the total pendency, is mostly in the lower courts. The lower courts are totally the domain of the High Court, administrative control, as well as the state government. So we are pushing the state government to be proactive, and I am personally asking the state government as well as the High Courts. I have been talking to the Chief Justices of the High Courts to deal with the situation, appointment of the judges, as well as various other steps which are required to be taken. Now, besides all these issues, we are also looking towards alternative dispute resolution mechanism. If we see most of the civil cases, which can be easily handled by mediation, arbitration, and some other means. See, primary responsibility of creating judicial infrastructure for high courts and lower courts rests with the state governments. But central government comes out with some substantial amount of support. Now we have recently in the cabinet, we have outlaid a total of 9,000 crore for judicial infrastructure in the lower courts. And there is a huge amount for next 5 years. The issue is the amount which we have been releasing are not fully utilized.
Exactly.
So most of the funds which are not utilized are due to various reasons, which I have also gone into the details why the state governments and the agencies are unable to use, and high courts have their own limitation. So the proactive support from the high courts are extremely important. I want that the 9,000 crore which central government has made the allocation must be utilized fully. And in the recent conference of the chief ministers and chief justices of the High Court, we have taken a pledge that we will do everything to utilize all those huge amount pending, as well as there was a very important decision being taken. The chief ministers and the chief justices of the High Courts will work in close coordination, and they are supposed to constitute a working committee where chief minister will be there, chief justice will be there, and important functionaries to ensure that the judicial infrastructure issues are dealt on regular basis. Courts are supposed to deliver justice, and the court must be open to everyone, but court cannot be a platform to be misused. For example, public interest litigation. Now, PIL cannot be converted into private interest litigation, and if there are cost imposition or some strict an adherence of certain provisions, I think if the Supreme Court itself come out with certain proactive steps and some very positive suggestions, government will be very happy to support.
No court should only be for the rich. It should be equally open for all. And their use of regional languages, that's a very important factor. Of course, you'll have to get all the stakeholders on board. But do you think that we can see that in near future?
Absolutely. The judiciary itself has to take a very important call on that. I have already suggested to the Chief Justice of India as well as the High Court Chief Justices that please ensure that the debate, the argument, everything is done in such a way that the advocates or the clients do not feel handicapped due to language. See, as I am talking to you in English, it's okay. For convenience sake, as a medium of communication, that's fine. But why would somebody have the advantage because he speaks better English? Some of the advocates in Supreme Court and in High Courts also, they take advantage of their better command over English in handling more cases and to get better justice. That is something which I have taken serious exception to. A lawyer, doesn't matter he speaks a regional language or English, he must be given opportunity to speak on anything in a language which he is very comfortable in. We have also given suggestions that there are some high courts which have been permitted to use Hindi language as an optional language like UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. So there are some other high courts in India which also should now take proactive steps to use the vernacular respective regional language. In India, we have many important languages like Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi, Bengali, Assamese, Oriya. These important languages, besides being recognized in the Constitution in the 8th schedule, they are also ancient. That needs to be promoted. If the languages are used in the courts, that is a great platform, whether it's Nepali or Manipuri or Dogra or Bodo. These are important languages of our country. These are our heritage. So why not use the regional and local languages in the courts? But for that, the courts will have to come forward with a proactive suggestion. We are ready to provide all kind of support. For translation, no problem. These days, with the use of technology, there's provision of instant translation.
Talking about the legal structure in the country, making it more people-centric, the government is working on changes in the IPC, the CRPC and the Evidence Act as well. When do we see these comprehensive changes? What is the latest on that front?
The laws are made easy for the common man. Any kind of rules, regulations, government orders should not be an obstacle for the common man. Meaning thereby, there should be less compliances burden on the common man. So all the laws must be made in such a way that it must ensure speedy delivery of justice. It's good news that Home Ministry is working on a very comprehensive criminal reforms, be it IPC or CRPC or Evidence Act. Law Ministry will definitely be always there as a critical part of the entire process.
All right, sir, let's shift focus from pendency of cases and access to justice to UCC. Now, several BJP ruled states have already started the process of implementing the Uniform Civil Code. But the moot question is, when would the centre take the lead and bring in an enabling legislation, and why is it the need of the hour for the country?
Well, politically, Uniform Civil Code is a commitment, and I think every Indian would welcome it. One country, one law, one country, one system. This is something nobody should raise any objection. The state governments can also take their own steps, and the state legislature can also make certain laws at their level. This is in a concurrent list. Now, when they have an option, they will certainly do it. Some states have already taken certain steps.
The Election Commission says that it is ready to hold simultaneous elections, but the constitutional amendments would be needed and Parliament will have to bring in a legislation. So, basically the ball is in your court.
Yes, I agree with that. I already had discussions with the Election Commission because Election Commission briefs me, my ministry, and Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has already made a very clear and call, one nation, one election. You know, every year we have two phases of election besides the by-election. Yes. You know, the early part of the year you have a group of states going for election. Later part of the year another group of states going for assembly elections. Then you have general elections every 5 years. It's something everyone has to think about. I hope every political party comes out with the support to realize the vision of Honorable Prime Minister to have all the elections of the country, of all the states put together and hold together. I hope someday we will realize it.
And freebies, sir, I'll just take your last word.
Freebies are something which the Supreme Court has also taken cognizance of the issue. We are very much concerned. Prime Minister is also very, very concerned. But you must differentiate about what is freebies and what is welfare. Now, if you tell some voters that vote for me, I'll give you television set. Vote for me, I will give you this much money. You can't just distribute everything free. Empowering the poor through various welfare schemes are not freebies. But distributing something just free of cost is basically, in a blunt language, it's a bribe. You are bribing the voters to come to the power. Now, there are some governments, some chief ministers openly distributing things free of cost. Now, free means you are not distributing from your pocket. You are giving something free means you are taking from the people only. People's hard-earned money, they are paying taxes fully, and you are utilizing that for your vote bank politics. That is not good. So, offering various schemes, welfare steps, empowering the people must be clearly differentiated from offering and giving everything free just for the sake of getting votes. That is why Supreme Court has also taken cognizance and left it to us also. We will have to take a call.
Right, sir. On that note, thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure speaking to you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, viewers, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Namaskar.